All right, what up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy B-Phil, and you already know what it is. You already know what we gonna do. We gonna learn something new. Let's get into it. So last time we talked about Langchain as this way to build LLM-powered applications. And so we're gonna go ahead and implement this in the way that Langchain expects. So first what we're gonna do is we're gonna create this box, and this just represents Langchain, right? And so inside Langchain, we need a prompt. And if you're not familiar, prompting is basically how you talk to an LLM. So we're gonna need a prompt and information to send LLM. Great. Next, we're gonna go ahead and need these models. So as you recall, we had these three, and we're gonna go ahead and send our prompt into these models. We're going to use Claude Anthropic today, or the Claude 3 models, but you can feel free to use OpenAI if you choose. And then we're going to go ahead and get some nice output here, right? And this is really the basic building blocks for how you can typically use these LLMs inside of your application. So then we send it to Anthropic, right? And then we get some particular output. So let's go ahead and go to implementation. So we're gonna go ahead and create your folder where you're gonna store your project. Could be a product, you never know. So you never know where you'll be in a year. Maybe you make a product that's AI powered. So let's go ahead first and create an environment variable or environment file. And we're gonna go ahead and have an Anthropic API key. And we're gonna set that equal there. So first, we're gonna go ahead and utilize, again, Anthropic here. And you want to go ahead and navigate to Anthropic's console. And so here you can see we actually are on Anthropic's console, and they have a lot of different tools. This isn't an Anthropic or a Claude video, but I just wanted to show you how you can go ahead and get this API key. And so here you see up top, right, you can go ahead and select API keys here. So I'm going to go ahead and get me an API key. And I'm going to call this demo lang. And great, I have an API key. Now we're gonna go ahead and paste that API key in our environment file. Great, we did that. So next, we wanna go ahead and initialize a virtual environment to go ahead and keep our development clean. So we're gonna say Python 3 vim for virtual environment, and we're gonna call this Langchain env. And we're gonna go ahead and activate this. So we're gonna go Langchain env bin activate. And now we're in our environment. So now what we want to do is we want to install the dependencies that will allow us to interact with the Claude model and Langchain tools. So we're going to go pip install Langchain Anthropic, and we're going to go ahead and install python.env. And while that's installing, let's go ahead and create our first file. We're going to call this start.py. And for your projects, for even more visibility, if you're going to eventually commit this, you want to create a README and say what this does. So we're going to say Langchain getting started template. Help beginners get started with Langchain. Great. Now we're going to go ahead and import some packages here. So let's go ahead and minimize this. And we're going to say from Langchain, and this is going to be Langchain Anthropic. We're going to import the chat Anthropic module. Now, I don't have this code complete here, so this isn't as nice. So I'm going to go ahead and reopen this. So you can see, when you have a fancy code editor, you can go ahead and see all of these things coming in correctly. So all right, great. So we see this from there, and we have this chat Anthropic. It's going to tell us how we should do this. So next, we're going to go ahead and say from Langchain, or actually, let's go from .env, and we're going to import load.env so we can load our environment. So we're going to call load.env first, so we have our Anthropic model loaded, and then we're just going to go ahead and define an LLM, and we're going to say chat Anthropic, and we want to go ahead and pass the model. Here we're going to use Haiku, which is the smallest and cheapest model. Cost very cheap, very cheap. And in order to find this, you can go to the Anthropic website. Again, this isn't an Anthropic tutorial, but just so you're aware, you can go to their workbench and you can see the different models that they offer. And then you can go ahead and get the code and you can find the actual model here. In our case, Claude 3 Haiku 2024, March 7th. All right, great. So we have this model initialized. Now let's just go ahead and make a call to it. So llm.invoke is how we're going to actually call or send information or send our prompt to the model. So what is pi? And we're going to go ahead and run that. So let's go down here and say python start.py. And it looks like one was given. Got it. So I didn't say model equals, right? And that should give us what we need. So let's go ahead and start.py. Great. So in traditional fashion, I forgot to print the output because I'm used to using notebooks. So we're going to go ahead and run this one more time. And for faster execution, I'm going to go ahead and install this over here so you can see it. So we got our output back. And we can see down here, we have the content, and pi is a mathematical constant that represents the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. Yes, this is what we needed to know today. Okay, great. So now we see how we can go ahead and send a prompt or some particular input to an LLM. Now, let's go ahead and see how we create a prompt for this. So inside of Langchain, we can go ahead and import the prompt template. So let's go from Langchain core.prompts, and we're going to import the prompt template. So this prompt template is going to allow us to template out what we want to send to the prompt, so we can go ahead and utilize this in other parts of our system where we want to change a particular variable. And let me show you what that all means. So I'm going to go here and say prompt template equals prompt template. And we're going to go ahead and, for some reason, this keeps bugging out on me. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time. This is going to be fixed and following. Thank you for still watching if you're still here. It's your boy, you feel me? We get running into some technical difficulties, but we're going to solve them. You can speed this up to 2x speed to get past some of these parts as well. So we go ahead and bring in our prompt template, and it's going to take some template. Right? And the template we're going to pass here is going with the customer theme. So I'm going to go ahead and use my pre-baked here. So we have a template. How would you categorize this customer? And then we give it some customer information based on some particular industry. And then we give it some categories to categorize that customer by. Next, we want to go ahead and put in the input variables. And all these input variables are letting the actual prompt know under the hood with Langchain what we need to specify when it comes to invoking the LLM. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and say this is the customer information. Then this is the industry. And then, of course, we have our categories. So now we have this. And this is all we need at this point. So now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to format the prompt. And so what we want to do is we want to define the variables ahead of time. So we're going to say customer information, and we're going to set that equal to something. And we're going to say e-commerce that sells dog toys. That sounds good, right? Then we're going to say that's not the customer information. Customer information is Brandon loves cats and is an avid parrot lover as well. He doesn't always love dogs, but he is willing to take care of them if needed. Not a preference. All right, great. So we have some great customer information there about me. I'm a customer. So let's see, as I foreshadowed, we have a particular industry, and this industry is going to be e-commerce store that sells dog toys. And then finally, we have our categories, and our categories are going to be a list. And this list is going to be the best customer. Let's say okay customer. And then, of course, worst customer. Great. So now that we have these variables, and think of this as some type of input from another system, potentially where you may be managing in a database and you pull these particular preferences in, or customer information, or the industry, so on and so forth. So what we're going to do now is we're going to format our prompt template. So we say prompt equals prompt template.format, and we're going to go ahead and pass in all of these variables. So we're going to say customer information equals customer information. We're going to say industry equals industry. And we're going to say categories equals categories. Great. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and send this to the LLM to get an answer. So we're going to send our prompt there, and then we're going to print the output. So I'm going to go ahead and run this here, and let's see what we get. So based on the information provided, Brandon would be categorized as an okay customer for an e-commerce store that sells dog toys. And then it gives us an explanation here. And so one other thing I do want to note in this output that I didn't know before is that you get the usage, and this is important for when you're trying to cost optimize. Can we shorten the prompt? Can we try and make it give some type of constrained output, just the specifics that we need? These are other considerations when you're building out these LLM applications, and this will help you understand what you're spending. And so this is how we just generally get a prompt template running. But as you know, we have chat models as well, and this is what this will be considered, or chat Anthropic will be considered as. And so what we can do is we can actually bring in a chat prompt template, and this is going to allow us to pass some type of system message. And what a system message does is it allows you to give some particular type of persona, or really just skews the LLM's probabilities of answering a particular question that you want to answer in a certain way. That was all complicated, so I'm going to show you what that actually means. So under our variables, we're going to go ahead and define the chat prompt template. So chat prompt template. And we're going to go ahead and say this is a chat prompt template, and we're going to say from messages. And we're going to go ahead and send in. So you see here in this example, right, you have human, AI, human. And we're going to actually add a system prompt in here. And so first we're going to go ahead and make a tuple, and we're going to say system and comma, you are a cat, you answer as a cat would with a lot of purrs. All right, great. Next, we're going to go ahead and give the human message. So we're going to say human, and this message is actually going to be our prompt template. So we're going to say prompt template, and we're going to get the template here. Great. So now we have our chat prompt, and this contains a system message. So we're going to say chat prompt variable. So we're going to say chat prompt dot format messages. And again, we're going to pass in our variables here. And so we're going to say customer information equals customer information. We're going to say industry equals industry. And then, of course, we're going to say categories equals categories. Great. So now we have our chat prompt. Let's go ahead and see what the output looks like for this one now. Oops. And we want to run it down here so you can see it a little bit more clearly. All right, and we go here. So purr softly, purr. Based on the information given, I categorize this customer Brandon as an okay customer for an e-commerce sells dog toys. And so you see, like, it gives it a little persona, it gives it a little flair, a little flavor, if that's what you're looking for. And so this is just a very, very general idea of how to use prompt templates in Langchain. In the next video, we'll talk about how we can actually get constrained output and get something very specific that we can pass to another system. So you already know what it is. It's your boy B Phil. Hopefully you learned something. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and leave me a comment of what you want to see more of. And I'll talk to you later. I'm gone. Peace.